Guys, please, if you can, join the locals, the Patreon, the Cash App, the Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal. Those are right now, they were supplementing the podcast. Right now, those are approaching like $1,500 a month. If those can get to, I don't know, $3,000 a month by the end of the year, the show will pretty much be invincible. The show makes money from Rumble, makes money from YouTube, and makes money from Spotify. But those can and have in the past cut off all payment with no warning. I have no contracts with any of them. I've tried. Every month, I don't know if I'm getting paid by them. As the show makes more and more from Patreon and people just dropping $5 here and there, it's becoming decentralized in terms of revenue. And because of that, it's becoming near invincible to where it no longer is, okay, we just got to stay on YouTube. We just got to stay on Rumble. We got to keep growing. It's hitting a point where the show can now continue regardless of the presidential administration, regardless of the winds of cancel culture and whatnot. Honestly, this is what I've always wanted. It just has never really seemed to be working. For whatever reason, in 2026, it's working. Please, if you can, it is not meaningless if you can join for $1 a month. If you can join for $20 a month, like, dude, you are actually moving the needle to keep this show not only free, but unhinged, uncensored, and frankly, a cobbled together, unproduced mess. But that's why I love it, and I think that's why you guys love it. So please, if you can, join any of those. Those links are in the description. They're in the pinned comment. Thank you. Saturday, February 14th, 2026 at 3:14 p.m. Eastern Time. Jim is speaking Black English today. Jim just serenaded us in a beautiful manner. And yeah, and Dave and I did a 3-hour show on satanic pedophile cannibals yesterday. So
Really?
Yeah.
Which was the second one in 2 weeks, I should add.
Yeah. I would like to think that today's show will be like the palate cleanser. But with you guys, I'm never quite sure if at the end of it I'll be yearning for satanic cannibal
palate cleanser. What, did you eat a few children this morning, Tom?
I did.
They're eating the babies. I
recommend raspberry sorbet, baby.
They're eating the babies.
Yeah. But on a lighter note, I don't know if you guys saw, even just like a couple hours ago, Trump said if the SAVE Act doesn't pass, he's going to use the executive order to say that, you have to use paper ballots and ID this midterm.
Yeah, I saw that. But don't you think some federal judge is going to turn right around, nullify the goddamn thing?
I'm thinking enough people are realizing that it won't matter what happens if we don't do this. There'll be nothing left to save. So it's just like, fuck it. Why not use? What are they going to do? Burn it down? They were going to do that anyway if they win.
That's a little too cynical for me. I don't think it's that.
Sure. Tom, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that I think it's going to be unnecessary because I think the SAVE Act is going to be passed.
I do too.
And when you get the 50 sponsors on a bill, at some point, what you've got now is I think this is a kind of drip to make the Democrats argue against an 85-15 issue. Right. And
yeah, so the only hang up is this fucking filibuster thing.
Right. And so what are they going to do? They're going to go and okay, so let's bring a standing filibuster for 60 votes. Okay, you guys can, let Spartacus,
I don't think you need a standing filibuster. What I've learned, and I wrote about this in my blog on Friday, was that the change from standing to zombie filibuster was made in 1972 simply by a procedural decision by Mike Mansfield, the then majority leader. Democratic majority leader, who decided that we'll have a new procedure, and nobody ever voted on getting rid of the standing filibuster.
So the standing filibuster, just for me and the rest of the peons, is where you actually have to stand there and talk until you're purple.
Right. Not only that, the procedural change that Mike Mansfield made in '72 permits the Senate to carry on with other business while if one senator says that he's going to oppose a particular bill that's up and gets 40 other senators to back that.
Right.
But that suspends all. The standing regular old school filibuster, all the business of the Senate has to stop. You can't bypass the objected.
And the guy read cake recipes and stuff for 24 hours.
Well, I mean, supposedly they were supposed to talk substantive, debate about the whatever the bill was about and whatever they objected to. But just to keep the thing off of a vote, they would start reading the phone book and the Chicago Sunday newspaper and anything they had.
Now they can read the Epstein files.
That would be nice.
That would be detrimental to the Democrats.
A little
So
bit.
they're not going to
so.
do that. They're not going to do that. So, but okay. So what it amounts to is that, but once you get to where they are now,
Tom, you've
right?
gotten some sun. You out there tanning your ass on the beach or something?
No, it's just it's winter, and I've been doing podcasts
You look dark. Doesn't
outside.
he look
He's
like
Italian.
I'm Italian. I soak
Well,
up sun pretty quickly.
I have seen this Italian before. This guy is
Yes.
not unfamiliar to me. So
No, I've done it the last. It's like it's not 20 outside, so hey, I can go out in the sun and do a podcast for 2 hours, and I get all the sun on my head, which is I'm not gonna complain.
okay. So that's how you're doing it then. Okay.
Yeah. But it's not like it's not like I'm going out there like the chest is still it's still blue, so
Right. Right.
I can't go out. I'll cook in 30 seconds.
So you were going to say something there, Tom?
You're
Well,
a
that's
fork
all
in
I
a
was gonna-
microwave.
It's all I was going to say is that with once you get 50, so this is what I repeat. It's like you get 50
Sponsors.
co-sponsors. At some point, they got to bring the thing to a vote, and they can all. And anybody who argues at that point, this is an 85-15 issue, right? This is 85% of the country wants, voter ID. So okay, let's give us voter ID. And anybody arguing against it now is literally just saying, "Hi, I want to destroy the republic. Hi, I want to continue my grift. Hi, I'm evil and I'm as corrupt can be." And I'm like, well, all you're doing is making it really easy for everybody just to shoot you, and
Right.
like we can move on with the world because this is ridiculous. So now stop it and let's vote on this and have civilization, and then we can have normal elections. We can find out just how inaccurate our elections actually are, because the thing that scares the shit out of everybody is that all the polling has been fake all these years. All of these things have been gamed spreadsheets. They decide what the numbers are in like July, right? Then they write a whole bunch of polls to say this is what it's going to be, and then we get
Then they rig
tallies.
it. Then they rig it.
And then it's all just goal seeked bullshit. It's no different than the BS-BLS.
Another thing that's coming along is that, last month they raided the election headquarters in Fulton County, Georgia, and before long, some information is going to come out of what that investigation shows.
This week they did Maricopa. I found that
and
out
it's very
earlier.
likely to show a lot of fuckery because a federal judge had to issue a warrant based on probable cause for the FBI to go in there. So, somebody has seen evidence that the thing's not kosher. So I think if that's revealed, that state was totally corrupt in the 2020 election, that's going to change a lot of people's heads.
Well, this gets back to the how corrupt is the Georgia GOP? Only slightly less corrupt than the Arizona GOP.
Dreadful.
To point out to what Tommy mentioned, which is that now we're into Maricopa County.
Yeah, Maricopa got raided earlier this week, which I found out today.
Yeah. And everybody was like screaming about the Epstein, like Thomas Massey's Dog and Pony Show over the Epstein bullshit, and Les Wexner. Like, we didn't know Les Wexner's fucking name for the last 20 years.
Yeah, there's a news flash for you.
Yeah.
Did you see the
newsflash.
headline where the FBI came out and said this week that there's no evidence that Epstein trafficked women? The FBI came out and made that statement. I'm going, yeah.
What are we doing here?
Well, yeah.
Evidence.
Apparently, we've been chasing our shadow on this one.
All right, end of the show. Everybody have a good Saturday.
It doesn't mean that they didn't traffic women. It means that they don't have evidence. It could also mean that over the last 4 years during the Joe Biden, or even going back to Barack Obama, that they destroyed evidence like crazy.
That's right. So technically speaking, they're not lying.
Right. Well, I mean, again, what are you going to do? Like, at a certain point, you just have to you have to say what you're allowed to say. And legally what you can defend and everything else. And that's our job, is to, parse through all that stuff and see it for what it is. It's not about justice, folks. It's about like figuring out what they're actually lying about. And then, we hope that at some point in the future, like I look at the whole Epstein thing this week. I don't know about you guys, but I look at this latest release, and I've done a couple of podcasts with like Alex Craner and a couple other people on it. And I just said, look, to me, it's always looked like since the day Trump kept saying, hey, let's just put this to bed. This Epstein guy is the corpse that won't die, blah, 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 blah. I think that was Trump saying to all these fucking TPEs, technocratic, pedophilic elites, if you walk away and you let me win, none of this shit will come out and I'll take the political hit. But I'll be able to start my process and move the world away from you people. And y'all can go, you all can go watch
diddle the kitties.
Diddle kids in your castles and everything else, but you're going to stay the fuck out of politics, and that's going to be the end of it. It's basically he gave them the Putin offer, which is what Putin did when he first came to power in Russia. He turned for all the oligarchs in and said, look, this is the way it's going to work. You get to keep all your money. You get to keep your shares in your companies and everything else as long as you stay out of politics. You stay out of politics, I'm going to fuck you in the ass. Mm-hmm. And so Khodorkovsky, backed by Bill Browder, backed by Edmund Safra, backed by Jeffrey Epstein and all these Robert Maxwell and all these motherfuckers, he went after Putin. Putin put him in jail and nationalized Yukos, and they're still butthurt about this shit. Still butthurt about it. So guess what? I think, hey, you want Thomas Massey, you want all the Epstein stuff, you want to play your fucking grift game bluff that you've been playing over the list that you don't fucking have? Great, do that. Let's let it all out now. That was an offer. That was an offer before total war. I think we've now reached the point of total war. That's where I think we are.
I read Browder's book, and he sounded crooked in his own book.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't even fake it. He couldn't even pretend.
And when you say total war, do you mean that we're going to actually find stuff out? I mean,
I think haven't we already found? Look at what's happening to the British government. Like that's been
but on the basis of almost nothing, really, just a little bit of insider trading shit.
Of all the things that are coming down, like Peter Mandelson is going to wind up in jail. Like Keir Starmer is going to wind up bounced out of power. Like if we're lucky, we don't even know what the next release is going to be. I'm just saying, as of right now, they're shitting a brick over in the UK, which is I know it's just chafes my ass.
Central.
Just chafes my ass. I feel really terrible for these people. My ass is bleeding for them all over the goddamn podcast this afternoon. But like. You understand that the response to this has not been any scalps here in the United States. In fact, it looks like just like all the rumors were true that Trump was working with the DOJ and Alex Acosta to get Epstein put in jail the first time and yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, over in Europe, over in London, big players are being removed and big shit is happening. And so, that's, I think, the big fallout.
What I don't get is...
And what happens in the other half of the files. But go ahead, John. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I don't get is, I've been listening to, I guess, Susan Kakinda. Is that her name? I've been listening to her.
Who is she again? I keep picking her up too.
The Promethean Action.
LaRouche.
Right. That's right.
And I'm willing to forgive. I'm willing to forgive the LaRouche connection, having listened to her for a couple of weeks. She just seems too intelligent to dismiss. But what I don't get is, there's a lot of chatter about King Charles being somehow behind a lot of stuff. I don't see him having the mojo to be behind anything. So I don't get that.
I'll tell you what Charles has.
What does he have? And who?
Charles is at the very center of the pedophile satanic shit. Dead center. Dead center. Charles is absolutely one of the royal family's fucked up from head to toe.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't see that on The Crown on cable TV.
I know.
But one of the Charles is a very interesting figure. And by the way, if you guys are interested in listening to Susan talk about her her history, total history. I did a podcast with her on my podcast.
I heard it.
Okay, you did. You listened
Yeah.
to it. Okay, great. Okay, great. Because we did that on purpose. Because we started getting by the way, they're evil Laurentian communists were starting to hit the airwaves. I started seeing those on Twitter. So I'm like, Susan, it's time we did a show to exploit to get the 800-pound gorilla out of the room. She's like, At first, she was like, I think we should just kind of ignore it and let it go. And then it immediately started ramping up. She's like, I'm free Friday morning. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
she
no problem. Let's
dissociated herself very, very carefully, and pretty well.
So I think she does a wonderful job of it. And so to Dave's point, the crown is seriously implicated in this stuff. It's been an open secret for decades. And so now the bigger question is, at what point does Charles become somebody's asset in all of the political wrangling going forward?
What sort of asset? I mean, aside from having a lot of money, what value does he have?
Well, he's still the King of England.
Well,
so that gives him a lot. That gives him power relative to what can happen vis-a-vis the British government. Like
he can dissolve Parliament.
He can dissolve Parliament, and so I think there's a lot of. Our mutual friend Ian Burlingame has been going on about this for a long time, and I'm not convinced that Ian is correct about this, but I'm at least willing to listen to the argument and then see how things play out. I've chatted with Ian privately, and I said, I hope you're right, but I just don't think you are. If I'm wrong, I'll buy you a fifth of your favorite scotch. I don't give a shit, right? Which I know will cost me a lot of money because. Scotch at this point is expensive, and I can't get away with Canadian whiskey or some shit. So which is that Charles is a captured pawn on this game board, and is Trump trying to maneuver the situation in the UK in order to save English society and the English people and the Commonwealth from itself, from its predatory ruling class that has been in charge of everything because they're not, just like us, we didn't get anything out of the ruling class fucking us over for the last 100 years. How do you think they feel, right? So, it's at least an argument worth considering. I'm not saying that, I agree with it or not, but I'm at least willing to put it on the table. And what
is the argument, though? Getting rid of Charles or what?
It's using Charles as a means by which to dissolve Parliament, dissolve the current government structure, allow the restoration, the next restoration of British democracy or whatever you want to call it, and do so in such a way that he then abdicates, hands the thing off to William, and begins to restore the crown. From EM's perspective, that goes back to getting rid of, the William of Orange crowd from 1688 and all of that, and restoring the.
Well, how are they involved? Because the Hanoverians took over when William of Orange and
right. I think the whole point of this, and again, I'd rather somebody who understands this history far better than me to explain it, but from what I understand, that's the fake. That was the Dutch takeover, the continental takeover of England. We want to restore the rightful King of England and the rightful right, and so that moves through Diana's line, the Spencers, right? If I get the name, or is it Stuarts? Either one, I don't remember.
Do you think William is fucked up? Do you think William is fucked up?
I don't know.
Sorry about my dogs. Do you think William is fucked up?
We can't hear your dogs.
He supposedly has a terrible temper.
Well, but I've picked up shards of information about him being basically trained by some guy who's a total perv.
Mm.
But it hasn't been definitive. Do you know if that picture of Keir Starmer when he was 9 years old being hugged by Jimmy Savile, do you know if that's legit or not?
I hope not.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm
I haven't
shaking
heard
my head
of
no.
this,
I don't.
But I hope not.
I know. I've seen the picture. But is it real?
There's also, by the way, a video of Boris Johnson, I think, talking to Parliament. I don't know, and he's ripping into Starmer for not prosecuting Jimmy Savile, which those two plots all of a sudden really collide pretty fiercely. So,
right,
yeah.
Well, where does Nigel Farage fit into the
Good
prospect?
question. Good
Oh,
question.
it's very simple.
Jesus.
He's here to defend City of London, and
Oh, he is.
Nigel has been a City of London boy for years, and
So he's no help?
No, unfortunately, no, none at all. It's kind of his he started talking foreign policy. I mean, that goes back to like 2017. I started listening to him. I'm like, oh, this is the standard British neoconservative kill all the Russians foreign policy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, who do they have on the bench then?
Rupert Lowe, I think, is about your best bet at this point, than I can tell.
And who is he? I've never heard of him.
That's the other guy within the Reform. I guess it's the Reform Party at this point.
Oh.
And he's the one really pushing for disclosure on the Pakistani rape gangs and all this stuff. I did a video yesterday with Susan, Kokinda, Alex, and Crypto Rich that just came out, and Alex Craner went deep on that one. I just kind of sat there and listened for most of it.
Whose podcast was it?
That was Crypto Rich's podcast. That was Rich Does Politics. So it just came out this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's the four of us.
Okay.
There goes my dog.
Puppy.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember if I did a podcast with Crypto Rich recently. It's getting so blurry.
Yeah, doesn't it?
I think I know that he reached out to you. So because I'm the one who was and doing
by the way, I have a present for you that I think is legit. I need to send me an email with your mailing address.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we talked about that last week. I guess I forgot.
That's right.
I forgot to send you my address. Okay. No problem.
Yeah. So you.
It's okay that you know my address out here.
Yeah, I figured, especially because dimensions I won't
put
remember.
it in the chat. Just put it on the show.
I'm going to put it on the internet.
That's a new form of suicide, like suicide by cops, suicide by docs.
I'm going to dox that mother.
So you and Susan think that war has begun between the U.S. and
Alex agrees with me that between the U.S. and between the U.S. administration and the old European elites. Mm-hmm. So all the people that are at the Munich Security Conference right now being schmoozed by our traitorous Democrats who are all over there to give their sound bites that can be replayed all day long, and especially like Gavin Newsom was added so clearly, like, I have to say this so that we can have these 15-second soundbite that they can play on Sky News and the BBC and Le Monde. And
I heard AOC, she was just garbling, blathering away. She didn't say anything.
Yeah, she tried really hard to actually sound intelligent, and that was a lot for her. And I know it took after 15 seconds, she was clearly exhausted from all the work.
Yeah.
She has one positive trait that she's starting to lose.
She's hot. Yeah, I was going to say she's
her ass.
Oh, she's got a nice rack.
Fat ass just doesn't cut it.
I will agree.
Wow.
Collum's law: if you have a nice ass, you got to get past the neck before you're remotely disappointed.
Oh golly!
I get these are always so illuminating.
I know. They're eating the babies.
It's
Listen,
horse face, but she does make some mistake of opening her mouth in public. Like that's my biggest problem with AOC, and she doesn't look like a blow-up doll when she does it.
I want to hear what you think about this, about the really noticeable and rather startling amount of infighting that's going on the right now, of people just taking themselves apart and turning the movement inside out. And what do you think is going on with that?
Massey MTG versus Trump? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
How about the okay, God, I'm sorry.
The Candace stuff, and
how about the big one? The Epstein files, the most important thing that came out of the Epstein files from a domestic perspective is that Steve Bannon was working with him the entire fucking time.
That was pretty weird.
Yeah.
No, really wasn't. I hate to say it, but I've said for years, I kept saying, fucking once Navy intelligence, always Navy intelligence. I said it about Jack Posobiec. I said it about Steve Bannon. I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, God damn mother.
So I have no trouble with Posobiec. I have no trouble. I thought Bannon was.
Well, there's a Some people say that Bannon was just playing him.
Wow.
And I wonder if he was just doing it for the money, just doing what he said he was doing, which was giving him, public relations advice on how to conduct himself.
And Epstein was the one who told him you should start a podcast so you don't have to register with FARA.
Well,
Interesting.
Yeah, those are in there. How about this one? Steve Bannon, Trump is an idiot. These are quotes. Mm-hmm. And that he believes that he's the true keeper of right-wing populism. Mm-hmm. Also true. And this is the thing that was clearly obvious to me now that I think about it and go back over it. What's been Bannon's shtick and all of his orbit for years? Russia's not the real enemy. China is. Okay, mm-hmm. Right? Well, if you're evil limeys, or if you're an evil intelligence asset, you have to create buckets. You have to create people that can be there to catch buckets. Various segments of the population as they come to understanding. So for years, for 2 generations, we were told the Russians are the big bad guys in the world. There are still people in America who still call them the Ruskies and think that they're communists and everything else, right? We're not in that group, but there are a lot of people who are. As enlightenment occurs and as the Russia bullshit, while the Russiagate stuff collapses, you have to have a pre-made dude out there to then take those people who are crashing out of that narrative, but keep them in your orbit and direct them perfectly somewhere else. Mm-hmm. That's been Steve Bannon's job for fucking years. And he's done it brilliantly. I'll give the devil his fucking due, but that's it. And that's his gig, because the goal at the end of the day is always to get the United States into a war or into a global conflict that it cannot sustain, it cannot win, but it will put the money towards that will destroy it from within and destroy the polity and make sure that the right never unites, or that the right and the independents and the classical liberals never unite.
And who wants this failure? I'm sorry, who's motivated to achieve this? Who's
and Tommy?
Satanic pedophiles.
City of London. It's always fucking London. It's always about.
I didn't realize I was muted. City of London.
Yeah, City of London. It's always, or it's not just London, but also Davos, that whole high table thing. Why? Because their system of control rests on holding on to the payment rails, holding on to the legitimacy of the legal and insurance structure and everything else of the global monetary system. And the last thing they want is for the United States to actually have control of their own monetary system. That is where the intersection of geopolitics and markets leads you eventually. At least it's led me. And that's why, and once I started looking at everything that way, now everybody's motivations just pops right out at you.
Yeah, but what is the machinery in that world financial engine? What is the actual machinery that they seem to hold exclusively that that nobody else participates in? I don't really get that.
This is the hard part. It's the system of virtualizing the collateral assets, right? The silver paper trade, the gold paper trade, the Bitcoin paper trade. At this point, anything that can be collateralized, the oil paper trade. As long as they control the ships on which the insurance on which the ships move the goods on, they win. They're pulling a vig off of all these things. They virtualized all the cash flows. They virtualized our fucking the rents on all of our commercial office space and turned them all into bond equations that they pull a vig on. It's their attorney registration system. It's their bar association.
Well, right? They didn't invent the mortgage-backed security. That was was cooked up by some Americans.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm not saying that the Americans weren't part of the problem. Okay, I'm not saying that we didn't get subsumed into this. We obviously did. Okay, we obviously became hyper financialists, just like the rest of them. I'm not arguing against that. I'm not saying that our hands are squeaky clean. No, they're fucking dirty as anybody in Dave's inquisitions into the
Baby
pedophiles and
eating.
everything, the
Okay,
baby eating and all the
eaters.
rest and all the rest of it. Like I'm not saying that our hands are clean here. They're not.
Let's
But we
unpack
were
this a little, though.
so. But there has been a shift, and that shift has taken place over the last. What I'm saying, Jim, is that shift has taken place over the last 10 years that I've been doing this professionally, right, and trying to figure out where we're going. If I didn't see that we had there wasn't a profound shift in someone's control over the system. Well, one, I probably would already be behind bars.
If we,
So. I'm dead serious. That's the way I say it.
the part that I'm stumbling over a little bit here is when you say hyper financialization. Now, what that means to me is that we've got a system where we have created so many artifices or artificial things, artificial money-like things, artificial claims on money, artificial claims on energy, and things that we call collateral.
Right.
And we have made them so ultra complicated and incomprehensible to most people, including probably a lot of financial professionals. If you do as Mr. Trump appears to be trying to do, to turn all that economic energy back to a production economy of real goods and making things of value, what does that look like? Does that look like the 19th century? Does that look like 1868 or something? Where, you don't have all of these hyper complex instruments that are being traded. You have stocks, you have bonds, they're comprehensible. You know that a stock represents a portion of a company that puts out particular numbers that you can comprehend for representing goods of value.
Right. Value versus valuations. Right. The way I've been thinking about it recently is, things
So
that
how do you
create value.
dismantle that gigantic web of artifice, which includes everything from, mortgage-backed securities to, insurance on investments and blah, blah, blah.
It's not that you're going to dismantle the whole thing, because some of that stuff is actually demanded by the market. Like we do like having insurance and reinsurance of risk capital and everything else. Like that's some of the things that the market would have created for itself.
Would J.P. Morgan have recognized what that is?
J.P. Morgan?
Yeah.
I don't know.
1908. Would that have existed?
Goldman Sachs were the first ones to create commercial paper. Right, as opposed to think about the commercial paper market, which is exactly why the Federal Reserve was originally designed, was to backstop the commercial paper, the nascent commercial paper market. So we didn't necessarily have to have sovereign debt backing by the central bank. It was just commercial paper.
The Dutch invented derivatives.
Yeah, they did.
17th century Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's
been around a while.
And so those are all side bets on actual investment.
Well, I mean, some of it is, and some of it isn't. But what's important to understand is who actually controls where the flow goes, right? Mm-hmm. That's what's important. And that fact that you never actually have to, the great thing about the great sleight of hand of the British Empire was that they figured out how to virtualize silver flows without actually ever touching the silver. Actually having control over the silver. They got the silver to come in, but then they gave claims to silver back out again.
It's too bad the Spanish couldn't do that with gold in 1550.
Well, the Spanish just spent their gold. What this was the interesting part about it, as I've started to really go down this rabbit hole. I've been writing about this and thinking about it a lot over the last literally 2 or 3 weeks. FYI. So this is all a new wrinkle on a lot of the things that I've talked about in the past. So it's still a little jumbled in my head. So, but when you think of it, when you look at it, what you're trying to do is if you're an empire that only controlled, if you can control the middleman, the insurance guys, the guys who own the ships, the guys who build the ships, yada yada yada, and you never actually have to, and all you do is move the goods around, but everybody needs to use your banks, use your use your insurance companies, use your exchanges, use your settlement systems, use your legal system. That's where the value is being created. That's where the value is created.
So if Mr. Trump prevails and is able to change this system into something more production based, and would a lot of derivative instruments go away? And if that was the case, what would that represent in terms of loss of capital for people in our country?
I think the problem is the way you're framing the question, Jim. I think you're conflating a couple of things here that I think I need to unpack a little further. It's not that it's not a good question. It's not. It's that the way you're asking it isn't getting to the heart of what the issue is.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'm not trying to be dismissive or anything. Certainly not trying to be dismissive. It is about who controls how that flow happens. We're still going to have mortgage-backed securities. As a matter of fact, we'll probably go back to having mortgage-backed securities are actually not a bad instrument. They're actually one of the main ways that we built the middle class in the United States, right? Through the trading of mortgage-backed securities via Fannie and Freddie, and effectively the public-private partnership of housing, and everybody kind of pooling the risk together, was what created the ability for banks to lend out that far out onto the yield curve so that people could buy houses early in their life, start their families, and then outproduce the rate of interest on the mortgage that they bought their house against. So I buy the house, I amortize it over 30 years. I'm paying 3.5%, 4% against it, but it frees up so much cash flow that I can now build a business that pulls 6%. And now my customers, in effect,
if you're in a stable economy,
right? But you have to have a stable economy to do that. Well, now if you destroy the ability of the economy by undermining the flow of actual collateral under the system, which is what Bretton Woods was designed to do.
And also the productive capacity.
And the productive capacity of the economy, exactly. Then eventually that system becomes predatory. What happened to us when it was funny, I don't know if we haven't talked since I did this analysis. I went and looked and tried to find. I thought it would be easy to find this chart, right? Not easy to find this chart, which is a chart of U.S. gold reserves from 1940 to the present. That's a hard chart to find. Go look for it. I couldn't find it. Federal Reserve doesn't have it. You have to reconstruct it through 4 or 5 different sources. Now, I happen to find it one source from the World Gold Council and one PDF that you can barely find on their fucking website. I happen to find it through somehow I got Google to birth this fucking thing, and found it, and then I have it, and I immediately made a copy of it and put it on my hard drive so I can't lose it, but it actually does it. And if you just chart it out, you'll note that in the 1940s, we had between 20 and 23,000 tons of gold by 1950. By 1960, we were down into the mid-teens. And then famously, by the time we get to 1971, we're down to 8,000. The London Gold Pool, Bretton Woods, all of that was designed to bribe your generation by rebuilding Europe, but you did it out of savings. You didn't do it out of national production. All the gold left, and it built the quote-unquote baby boomer generation. Whereas, and all the money went to Europe. All the gold went to Europe, and the debt went to Europe. So not only did they get all of our gold, then they got the debt too. So when Nixon closes the gold window in 1971, what he's doing is he's saying, nope, sorry, if you're going to drain us dry, you're going to do it with our debt. Fuck you. You're not getting our gold anymore.
You're just going to get bonds.
Right. You're going to get bonds. And honestly, if you listen to Susan talk, she'll tell you she thinks that's why they got rid of him. That was Watergate was the revenge for closing the gold window and stopping the draining of the American. Right. And so as a former libertarian, I used to think Nixon closing the gold window was the birth of everything bad in the universe. Well, yes and no. it was a defensive maneuver trying to stop the French from stealing all our freaking gold, and the British and everybody else. And so once that happened, now flows were virtualized one step further. Now it was no longer virtualized gold that was, or silver that was floating around the world, undergirding everything. Nope. Now it was U.S. Treasuries. And so what did they do? They had an offshore dollar system at that point. They had a euro dollar system. They controlled the price of dollars, just the same way that they controlled the price of gold and previously the price of silver by constantly, printing a whole bunch of fiat currency during world wars, and then reindexing the global economy back to the pre-war price for silver and gold, and then gold after 1945. That's what Bretton Woods did, which was horrific. So after that, we had the Eurodollar system had now ballooned. Offshore dollars were an order of magnitude or two larger than domestic dollar flows, meaning they're in control of our monetary system, especially if we're indexing our rate to LIBOR, all the shit that I've been talking about for the last 4 years. And that's why SOFR was so important, because it was the first step in us getting back control over the global price of dollars, meaning the interest rate over dollars. And the LIBOR standard is what ran the great inflation between 1984 and 2008. And then we had coordinated central bank policy after 2008, round robin QE, everybody at the zero bound. Japanese were sent to the zero bound in the 90s in order to build the yen carry trade to liquefy and lever this thing up even more. And then honest brokers like Richard Russell. I was thinking about Richard Russell today, as a matter of fact, Dave, because I was writing an article for my newsletter, and I was talking about Dow theory and the fact that we had a big breakout in not only the Dow Jones Industrials, but the Dow Jones Transports last Friday, by the way. We had a perfect Dow theory signal on the breakout above 50 grand on the Dow. And all of us and all of our arguments, you're on mute, Dave.
What happened on February 12th? Something broke on February 12th.
Oh God, I've been so busy. I didn't quite.
Thursday.
Oh, that was Thursday's market meltdown.
Well, it wasn't a big meltdown, but every asset class took a dive. They weren't perfectly correlated, so the metals sort of paused and then went straight down. But the equity market started to look like that.
Looked like a liquidity incident.
It was not deep, but it was simultaneous. It was instantaneous, and no one could identify the cause.
Some institution maybe got into trouble.
Yeah, something happened. I don't know, but I did note it on Thursday. But I was hip deep in writing all day on Thursday.
The treasury rate dropped, and they blamed it on a great sort of sale of treasuries, right? A tremendous amount of demand, but the treasuries were the last to go. So that doesn't make any sense. And so I have this funny feeling that something happened that wasn't in itself important, but it was kind of like the Bear Stearns hedge funds that were only 600 million, and who cares? But by the way, we ended up carrying a lot.
Right.
There's
a lot out there, and I mean it can be commercial mortgage-backed securities, which are a fucking nightmare. It could be all sorts of things. But I'll round up that point. This is the thing I wanted to say before you popped in, which is that you and I have had so many, tense conversations over valuation versus value. I mean, should the Dow be at 25 grand or 50 grand? And I've always been, we've been on both sides of the nominal inflation versus, deflation side of it. And I'm like, this is exactly the thing we're talking about. The restoration of an economic world built on building shit versus moving money around is what we're dealing with right now, and that's that's where the big tension is in the markets. And what I noted is, okay, let's give you a perfect example of how desperate the market is for any kind of certainty. Did you see what the Nikkei did the day after the Japanese elections on Sunday? The Nikkei exploded. It was up 3,000 points. And Japanese bonds were down half a basis point, and the yen strengthened. So the world moved into Japan on Monday, like unbelievably.
Muted it.
And it was purely because of political stability was now returned to Japan for the first time in God knows how long.
Mm-hmm. Plus
So
the prospect of them rearming and becoming a strong player in Pacific politics again in a way that they haven't been for a long time.
Japan
Let's just put it this
rising.
way. Japan declared independence on Sunday, and the guy who was happiest about it of everybody on the planet was Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Imperial Japan's back.
No, because now
they're vote, so I'm fine.
they're already talking about opening up like an embassy with the Russians, finally end World War II. Like all this shit that I've been talking about, I've been mentioning shit like this like for years now, right? Let's end World War II finally. That's a whole British project. Let's get rid of the American, meaning MacArthur and the British written constitution for the Japanese. Now they have a real opportunity to rewrite the constitution.
Let me point out something that no one else has pointed out. To the best of my knowledge, no one else has pointed out. And that is that if you look at Fed governors, chairs, Fed chairs, they seem to be, they can disappoint, but when they're appointed, they look like they're the guy for the job at that moment. And so, for example, you go back to Volcker and you got inflation, so we put in a hawk. You get to a tremendous conservative shift in the United States, and you put in what appears to be a libertarian, not really, but he sure looked at when he got appointed. Then you get to within a couple of years of the great financial crisis, which people claim to not see, but it was being discussed 6-7 years in advance. You put in a guy who is putatively the putative expert on the Great Depression, which I think is a complete retard on the Great Depression. But to put on a guy Bernanke, and then you need a person who's going to just continue that because they're not ready to give it up. So they put in a sock puppet, Janet Yellen. Now they put in Powell to try to get some balance back, and at some level he did. He got rates up. He did a little QT, right? So he made some progress, right? It wasn't phenomenal.
Right.
Then we're told that Trump is going to put in his own bitch, and he's going to drive rates into the basement and pump the markets and do all this shit that's really irrational looking to many of us. And instead he appoints Warsh. And Warsh has been one of the most hawkish Fed guys in the last dozen years. He's been saying all the shit Bernanke did was crap, all the loose monetary policy was crap. My question now is it possible that Warsh has been put in there because they are going to do finally a reset?
I guess by definition, what do you mean by reset? Just so
I mean a 0809, but let it go.
I expect Warsh. My read on Warsh has been the following. It's the part that no one wants to talk about, which is that he believes that the Federal Reserve has that's horse shit. It's complete horse shit.
Well, it's not horse. It's true.
It's true, but it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
That's the question. That's the question.
It's irrelevant grape crap.
I'll give you that much.
Yeah. No, with Warsh, the thing that stuck out to me was that he's right in line with Besson that the Fed needs to be reformed.
But he also really does look like the guy who, based on what he's been saying, is going to say, look, we're going to stand back and we're going to let the shit hit the fan.
Yeah, he has. He said, look, and the Fed, the last vestiges of the Fed put are going away.
If what you're saying, his job description.
If what you're saying about value and valuation is the case, that's at the heart of the problems that in the larger financial scene. And the big valuation problem with the Federal Reserve for the last 20 years has been the abolition of price discovery. Then it seems like this is a way of recalibrating the financial part of the economy to discover prices properly.
Yes. And the interesting part about this, guys, we're all fans of I'm a fan of Rick Rule, right? Yeah, we all know who Rick is, right? Rick is awesome. Rick is phenomenal.
He's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. Yeah. That's what's really special about Rick.
I've only met Rick in passing. I tried to.
I met him once.
I met him about 10 years ago. I haven't haven't talked to Rick in years. But
I see him every fall.
And what's interesting is that Rick always said, I can see $8,000 gold, I can see $200 silver, but you don't want to live in that world,
No.
right? Interestingly enough, we're at $5,000 gold and $80 silver, and things aren't awful. Now, I'm not saying that things are good or that things have fixed themselves, but isn't it interesting that as we're beginning to talk about the actual change of the monetary system and the fiscal system, so that we have fiscal and monetary system changing, going away from the British open free trade, hyper financialization, leverage everything to the tits, steal all the money and steal all the wealth and eat the babies. Thank you, Tommy. We're getting back to, hey, why don't we build shit and get back to making babies?
There you go.
What
Tom
we're
Luongo,
asking
2028. No more eating the babies. Make the babies.
Make babies. Don't eat babies.
Make babies. Don't eat. Just 100,000 people cheering in the Square Garden.
Don't eat babies.
The bad guys do both.
Yeah, the bad guys do both. Okay, so
but back to reality, production economy, silver, gold.
Right. So what is it? What if we're just going to a great repricing of gold and silver and the collateral, so that we can then have a new baseline with which to go, hey, we're moving forward.
Yeah. But who are the bag holders and the losers in the process?
Oh, that's guys like the German pension funds that have bought all this Class A office space in the United States. It's at 30% occupancy and 50% rent rolls. That's and Europe, all of them. They've all bought shit tons of this stuff.
So it sounds to me like the bottom line of this is that Europe is really fucked.
I mean, look,
that's been true for hundreds of years.
But here's the thing. This gets back to that whole idea about the Epstein files, and Trump saying, look, let's just sweep it under the rug. You guys go home. Let us remake the fucking world, and you guys can go on and eat the babies. And we'll be done with it, right?
I think the bag holders are something like, the hyper high-end apartments in Manhattan, where it's like Time Warner Center. There's 180 luxury condos. 160 of them are owned by Shell Corps, and like 159 of those are vacant.
There's bag holders on the bottom half too.
Sure,
there are.
And the bag holders are, the Kentucky pension fund is funded to 18%. Illinois is funded to less than 40%. You've got boomers who have an expectation of what they will be able to pull out of their accounts that they will not be able to pull out of their accounts. So if you want to make the argument that people like to make is that why can't the valuation stay high? By the way, Grantham's new book does a brilliant job of channeling all the shit I've been saying. And I don't know whether it's because I'm channeling Grantham or not, but it's like, holy fuck, I could have written this book. He says, look, if you double the valuations, you're going to have your return. It's that simple. So if the market's priced with a PE of 40, which a Case-Shiller PE is 40, then you're priced to return at 2.5%. The boomers can't live on 2.5%.
No.
So there are going to be serious bag holders here. This is not a trivial.
No,
it's not a trivial thing. This is not a trivial thing.
So what of in their portfolios vaporizes? Is it the stocks, the bonds? What
the fake wealth?
Yeah, and where is that lodged? In what? In their pensions?
The most dangerous thing in the market, the thing that the real risk is not some geopolitical event or anything like that. It's overvaluation. That is the fuel.
What goes back to a realistic valuation?
Well, so you can either say it's not going to go down and you're going to get a chicken shit return like on your checking account, or the valuations are going to go down and you're going to lose half your capital gains that you've made. And what I can tell you is the boomers are not ready for that. The median 70-year-old boomer has $400,000, half of which is real estate and half of which is some sort of investment. The median boomer, 70-year-old boomer. That person, and the median boomer also at that age bracket has $22,000 coming in per year in Social Security. So that guy can take out about $22,000 a year for about 10, 12 something years and then take 22,000 from his Social Security. Therefore, he's got to live on 44, and then he's got to cut it back to 22 because he's run out of his retirement account.
Yeah, no,
and
I get
that, by the way, is without getting clobbered in their retirement account.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So
Agreed.
the fake wealth is going to disappear at some point. The fake stuff.
So the question is, where is most of the fake wealth? And that's the big question.
Yeah.
And is the fake wealth in and this is why Trump keeps saying that we don't want to destroy the valuation of people's homes. What he's trying to do is and I know what he's trying to do. And I know you Dave, you don't believe he can pull this off, and maybe he can't, maybe he can, and maybe he can't. But the goal is clearly to get domestic production up to the point where we can actually pull most of that through, and then let all the offshore dollar wealth, fake wealth, vaporize. That's the big one. And there is a lot of that in the Caymans, in all these offshore havens, in fucking Hong Kong, and all this stuff. If we're talking about fake wealth, that's everywhere. It's not just here in the United States.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is the part we have to remind ourselves that this isn't just an America problem. Right, it's a dollar problem in that respect.
Look at the DAX. What an insane index.
Well, you know why?
I don't know why.
It's very simple, because the German investors are not stupid. They're looking at 2.85% or 2.8% on a German 10-year going, that's bullshit. And they're putting their money, and their money is and they can't get it out.
But those companies aren't producing anymore.
It doesn't matter.
You're buying a shit pot pie because the dog shit pot pie is not worth it.
And they can't get their money out of Europe because the capital controls are coming. So the money can't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it means you're fucked. If your best alternative sucks, then you're in trouble.
I agree.
So this week,
That's why I found it really interesting. I'm sorry, Joan. So I find it really interesting this week that German Chancellor Friedrich Merz was cozying up to who? Giorgia Meloni, and throwing the French under the bus.
I love Giorgia Meloni.
And you think that, and if you think that the Germans and the Italians won't throw the French under the bus, that's all you need to know at this point.
Didn't they do that about 80 years ago?
Exactly. If you don't think that.
I've read about that.
Yeah, I kind of heard something about that. I'm not sure. It's in the ether somewhere.
Sergeant Rock Comics.
Yeah, but if you just go through and start looking at it, when you start seeing shit like that, the end in Europe is very close, because now the throwing each other under the bus isn't, the three pillars throwing the Hungarians and the Poles and the Slovenians under the bus and trying to take all their wealth from them. Now there ain't nothing to take from those guys. Now they're having to go and start thieving off of each other. That's interesting.
The other big wrinkle this week is, represented by the essay that was written by, I think he was an executive at Anthropic, the AI company that does Claude. I may be wrong about that, but this essay got a lot of spread. And he basically said that we have no idea how catastrophic AI is going to be to white-collar office work in America. And that, while we're trying to retool a production economy, we are facing the prospect of another large sector of the economy being totally deprived of incomes.
Well, the speed.
Yeah.
It's like a melting ice cube versus pouring hot water over the ice cube.
Some big law firm fired 1,000 lawyers this week because they don't need.
Said it's a supersonic tsunami.
Interesting.
Amazon
that's what
laid
I
off
think.
15,000 upper management jobs.
But here's the complication. That is, every goddamn CEO and accountant at the top who has a failing business is going to actually do layoffs and blame it on we're going to use AI and that'll make us more efficient, when in fact their business is just failing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other
that
thing,
bullshit story is going to be everywhere.
That's very true. So is the story that you want to solve the immigration problem. What do we need all these Indian coders for.
Mhm.
We don't need Indian coders.
We don't need any of them because the AIs are going to write better, are already writing better code than these guys did in the first fucking place.
Well, a lot of them are on green cards, so they can just be asked to leave.
Bingo.
There's that video of the robot.
You don't have to chase them down with ice. A lot of them are civilized people. They'll go back to India.
There's that video
we
of
certainly hope so.
There's like a multi-armed robot, autonomously cleaning an airport bathroom, and then somebody just retweeted it and was like, "Execute all migrants. We don't need them."
Oh snap!
Oh God!
There's a lot of truth to that, though. I mean, not you're whatever if you want. What do I care?
So that's all the financial side, and then on the political side, you've got all of this insane fuckery going on. And what I'm wondering is how does the level of discordant thinking and insanity, how is that reflected by or from the financial conflict and financial friction that's being created by all the prospect of things changing and upsetting people's way of doing business? Is that partly responsible for the economic insanity or the political insanity that we're seeing expressed?
Some of it. I just think a lot of it is just the old grifts are just no longer not going to work going forward. And there's a lot of people who are just scared to death about what everybody's going to find out about them. And I think we're finding out every day that, oh look, that guy works for a foreign government. That guy works for a foreign government. How many prominent Democrats are in Munich today? Like 12.
I don't know. I've been paying
like 12.
attention to Munich.
Gavin Newsom shows up.
Hillary.
AOC shows up. Hillary shows up. They're all there. All of them. I was just watching before we went on, I was just watching the Promethean Action live stream of what happened at Munich. And Barbara Ward was just like, she was incensed because, of course, these people were all over there bad-mouthing the sitting U.S. president on foreign soil to foreigners. And she's like, that's fucking treason.
Oh.
And she's not wrong, right? And then FYI, did anybody watch Marco? I mean, I think this is important.
I saw Marco Rubio.
Did you
see his speech? Yeah,
that speech. That speech was. I've never really been. I mean, Rubio's impressed me as Secretary of State.
Yeah, I never really knew anything about him before.
That speech was one for the ages. You're on mute again, Dave.
Yeah,
I have background noise. I'm trying to stop.
No,
very measured.
Dave, Zoom cancels background noise almost perfectly. We can't hear shit. No dogs, nothing. We can't hear anything.
Okay. Rubio's been way better than anyone expected, I think.
Mm-hmm. His speech is phenomenal.
And
phenomenal.
Tell us what you pulled out of there, being the main things he was getting at.
Well, I sent you a tweet before we started, and it was that one line that I liked, and he was like, "We don't wish to do it alone, but like we will if we need to," and that kind of seems like messaging. Say, and the do it is maintain and perpetuate Western civilization. He's basically saying like we'd like to do it with you guys. He's like America, though 250 years old. He's like it was birthed with Europeans, so he's kind of throwing them like a bone, like a flat
huge bone. Hey,
like we can do, but at the same time, it's like, but we'll fuck off to hell if we.
And there was an eruption of applause at some point.
It was afterwards when he was talking with the German delegation directly. I'm going to read you what I wrote. I watched it this morning, and the first thing I did was I took to X and I gave you my and I have a little bit of what do you call of experience with all of this. And
I was going to say dementia, but you're
too. That too. So what I said was, this was the speech Europe needed to hear. It's also the speech Rubio needed to give. Good parents see their children grow up and assert their individuality and willingness to take on responsibility and support them. They are proud to watch them graduate into responsible adults. Abusive and narcissistic parents get angry and try to drag the child back into their decaying orbit, complaining that your gain is their pain. There is no we here. Only them, and Rubio's speech was crystal clear. This will be the last time the Trump administration makes this offer to Europe to try and stop them from dragging us down. And for them. Join us into the next age or wallow in your comfortable misery. That's Europe's choice. We didn't make it for them. And I mean this. This is a classic example of abusive, narcissistic fucking parents refusing to accept that the child is better than they are and is ready to lead the world. And Rubio said flat out what Tommy just said. We're going to lead. You're more than welcome to come with us.
Love to have you.
We want you to come with. Yes, we love to have you. Stop acting like fucking petulant, goddamn abusive parents.
Yeah. What are the prospects that they will? Yeah, infinitesimal.
Vanishingly. Thank Dave. You've been eating the babies. Like you know what their answer is going to be to that.
No, I'm too busy. My mouth's full of beef jerky.
Oh God. The hell. Fucking hell, dude.
You make eating the babies joke. That is eating the babies.
That is true.
Here's something I don't understand. If there are people out there who have done really awful, dastardly things, let's say a person like Hillary Clinton, she's been there are a lot of rumors about her. You'd think that she has a lot of enterprising enemies. And you'd think that they would be able to find some evidence of like the baby eating and the adrenochrome and all that stuff we've been hearing about. And yet we don't see that evidence. So what do you make of that? That even enterprising enemies cannot come up with something to take her off the game board?
One can argue it's a bipartisan problem. And so that the house of cards, the Jenga tower, will collapse if you pull out either a Democratic or a Republican piece.
Well, what about...
So, for example, Weiner's laptop. Anthony Weiner's laptop is supposedly just filled with shit.
And we hear nothing about it, even whether it's still in the possession of the people who last had possession of it.
But you hear nothing about it is the key. If there was a bunch of stuff and she wasn't in it, then you could shake it off. We're getting nothing. So the FBI has her laptop and is releasing nothing. And has Weiner's laptop and is releasing nothing.
You got to wonder whether Dan Bongino learned anything from his year there, or saw anything. Whether he, one way or another, with his authority as deputy, had access to things that he, would have been worth his while to look at all these years.
I think
Why wouldn't he have just asked to see Weiner's laptop?
I believe that he was probably told he was going to die.
Yeah, I think
it's that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Dillon, the comedian, said it actually quite perfectly. He's like, we all know these shadowy these shadowy networks exist. He was like, you have to walk that out. What do you think it actually looks like? They probably just bring you in a room. No phones. They go, hey, okay, listen up. We'll fucking kill you. You, your kids, we'll kill them. It probably is just like that. And it's easy, as much as I've been shitting on them, it's very easy to judge from, my faggoty chair. But like, they probably do. They bring you in a room and go, we'll fucking kill you.
Let me ask you, who had on your bingo card that a congresswoman would be talking about satanic cannibals 5 years from, 2021.
Well, if you were down in the rabbit holes in 2017, like me, where other guys my age were getting married, you'd go, yeah, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
But was that Anna Paulina Luna, or who was that?
No, that was MTG. MTG was talking about satanic cannibals. Who? No, the average person, I guarantee you, the average person did not have that on their bingo card.
Yeah. Now
it's still hard for me to imagine that people, it's hard for me to imagine that people like Hillary Clinton do that.
It is hard. It's hard.
But I didn't at first buy the jerky story because I just read the emails. But then after a while, I'm going, wait a minute. You're talking about refrigerating it. You're talking about bringing 6 to 8 ounces.
And who the fuck sends email about beef? Again, Tim Dillon, he goes, how many emails have you sent in your life about pizza? Maybe a text. Hey, we'll get pizza after the place.
But the elite don't eat beef jerky.
But even if they did, who the fuck emails each other about that? Did we talk to each other beforehand that I'm like, hey guys, I'll see you at 3. I have my black thermos with me. If I said that, you guys would be like, what are you compromised? What is this? You'd all freak naturally.
Right. So I think the jerky, and they're talking about refrigerating the jerky there. So I believe the way you explain the jerky, it falls into the adrenochrome subplot where I believe there's people who, for various religious reasons, so remember when Taibbi was writing about the great financial crisis and someone said, Matt, you're coming at this wrong. It's not a financial story. It's a crime story. This is a religion story. The satanic cults are religion. And once you put it in that context, you go, oh, now I can picture Aztec priests pulling hearts out alive and eating them and stuff like that. So it becomes all of a sudden one of these things. Oh, religions have done that. The jerky story problem is, though, that the more of it I read, the more I go, this is sounding like Pizzagate. I mean, when you're talking about so I think what these guys are is they believe that adrenochrome child flesh will help preserve their youth. I believe they think.
But you look at someone like Hillary Clinton; she doesn't look, she doesn't look good for a 78-year-old woman.
But it doesn't matter that she doesn't look any better. What matters is they believe, or that their religion, right? Think of what religion sells to their masses. They sell preposterous things. Right, resurrections and all sorts of stuff, right? You go, physics doesn't let us think about these things, but religion sells things that are not digestible, but you just take them at faith. That's why they call it faith. Yeah. And I think these guys believe that various consumption of human body parts. What was the other one we talked about where they have a baby who breastfeeds, and then they cut out the intestine where the milk is curdling, and then they let it curdle more, and then they suck the contents out of that. Who does that?
Yeah,
Who does that?
It sounds too much to me like a Hollywood screenwriter writing a horror movie.
Okay,
it doesn't sound real to me.
Okay,
I agree.
No argument. So interesting, just to pick up Dave's point about religion.
Babies.
Well, kind of. It's like vegans, right?
Right.
Vegans, I've met many in my life, and I've argued with them as while they were especially ones that are older that have been vegans for years, and they're dying, and you can see that they're dying because they're in kidney failure, right? I had a friend of mine, literally, this is the way it was, but they became vegans because they were unhealthy, and they were so unhealthy either because they were retaining, like men tend to retain like ridiculous amounts of iron and whatnot and all these other things, and they were eating so badly at one point in their life that when they went vegan they felt better. Why? Because they were just like they were just eating slightly better, and they were excising all of the toxins that they ingested the previous 30 years of their life. And so that first 6 to 9 months,
it's making me healthy.
It's making me healthy. And then they're like, that's it. Veganism for the win. And then they stay there in that state, even though you look at them after they've been on that diet for 10 years, and you're like, you look terrible. You're ashen gray. They're thin. They're this. They're all.
It's like anorexia. It's
the same thing. Kevin Smith today, after, remember Kevin Smith? The Clerks. He was fat, he was James, fat Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Right. And then 2 heart attacks later, they put him on a vegan diet and everything else.
Dang.
He looks like ass. Yes, he's lost 150 pounds. Great. But you dude, eat a steak.
There's a window where he looked a lot better because he lost weight. But yeah.
But now, and I don't know if he's, but a lot of vegans are that way, and they're just religious about it. And I'm like, dude, like the evidence, the dietary evidence is overwhelming. It's one thing to start that process. It's another thing to.
You are an omnivore.
At worst, you're an omnivore, and on the best of days, if you talk to Sean Baker, well, no, you're just a carnivore. And
right.
And there's that. And I've met Sean Baker. I've been in the room with the guy. Dude's fucking impressive. Like, that's all I got to say. It's 60, however old he is, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. And and I've been doing on and off. I've been doing some form of low carb / carnivore for God knows how many years, and I look at myself in the mirror and I go, all right, well, you look pretty good for a guy who's abused the shit out of yourself for 58 years, and I have abused the shit out of myself at times in my life and been type 2 diabetic and all the rest of it. And I'm like, if I had gone vegan, forget it, I'd be dead.
You overcame diabetes?
It's a type 2, just insulin, classic insulin resistance. Yeah.
You overcome it?
Yeah, you overcome it by just eating like a human being.
Uh-huh.
and eventually your body will fix itself between intermittent fasting and relatively low carb diet, and get off of. And what I've found over the years is even go so far as once you really start going down that rabbit hole, you get off of the scavenger meats and you get onto the just ruminant meat, meaning you eat deer and cows and sheep and goats, and not pigs and chicken as much, because I find pigs and chicken just don't. I mean, I eat it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not I'm like militant about this shit. Hell, I still have French fries, but I know that when I want to clean myself out, I just want a meat diet for 10 to 15 days.
Where are you with wheat?
For the most part, wheat's not particularly good, but I have I distinctly, I'm at the point now where I really want to try wheat that I control the supply chain of, so that I can see if it's got no friggin' Roundup in it.
Well, there's also the problem that the wheat was bred to be harvested, and so it's not very digestible. I happen to have celiac disease,
right,
which when I was a kid almost killed me, but it was childhood celiac, so I grew out of it. And I, when they do colonoscopy, they can see what I have done to myself. But I can eat a bowl of spaghetti and it doesn't do shit to me. It doesn't take me.
What I find is, as long as I don't do it all the time,
right,
then I'm okay. But I'll be honest with you, I have a real love for sourdough pretzels, and every once in a while when I want to fall off the wagon, I want a couple of Diet Coke, I want a couple of Coke Zeros and a bag of
grape. You want a grape soda?
You want a grape soda and beef jerky?
Come on,
yeah.
face it.
Actually, nope. Sorry, don't like grape soda. But I can tell you that this day is tearing me up. I'm sick for days afterwards, and it's not good.
I think per the. This is what we talked about yesterday, Dave.
But it could be the wheat that they're using is what I'm getting at, Jim. It may not be wheat in general. That's what I'm getting at. I can't wait to get the house built, because I'm going to make my own goddamn pretzels and my own bagels again.
I've been getting this French wheat from Amazon. Mm-hmm. You get a 5-pound bag for $12 or something.
Right.
I've been experimenting and making baguettes with them, but I suspect that I get a lot of joint pain from eating bread products. I do too.
I think part of the reason why the satanic ritual abuse is, I think there is a religious component to it. In terms of if you view it for what it is, and it's blackmail as a weapon, it's force projection, it's the ability to reach out and control things. No different than an aircraft carrier, no different than an ICBM dropping a thermonuclear warhead on you. That's what it is. It's power projection. Mm-hmm. You would want, if you're going to do it, if you're going to go through the trouble of doing it, and you're going to go through just the efforts of getting these people of power onto this, I mean, there's the amount of time, decades it built to form this system. You're not going to half-ass it. You're not going to go, well, there was a 17-year-old, and a lot of countries, they'd be like, yeah, whatever. Even in America, you might be like, yeah, whatever, he's a fucking idiot, she looked 20. I think you have to go, we don't put a grenade on an ICBM. We put a thermonuclear weapon. If you're going to go all the way, you go all the way. I look at it as whether or not they even believe this shit, and I think some of them do, I don't think it matters. I think it's, if we've already got, the prime minister of whoever, no, we're not getting with a 16-year. We're going to get you disemboweling an infant. There is no hesitation. If you're with a 17-year-old, that might be like, you know what, I'm going to come clean and I'm not going to put my country in some new war because of this. If it's something like that, it is so beyond the pale of you're just like, yeah, fuck it. I guess we're knocking over Iraq. I guess we're invading Iraq. That's what you would do. If you went through all that trouble, you're going to do the most heinous shit that no one even thinks twice about. Maybe I should just come clean. It's not like, oh, you cheated on your wife. It's like you chopped a baby's head off on a video.
In for a penny, yeah. In for a penny, in for a pound. It's like that moment when Anakin in episode 3, when Anakin decides to finally turn full, full and against the Jedi, he goes and he kills all the young ones.
But he goes, and by the way, if you do it, hey man, life's a breeze. You get all power, you get all the connections, you get everything.
That's right. It's all upside.
Yeah, and I think some really do believe it, and that sucks. But man, I think it's also probably a form of hazing too. Man, how are you gonna go along with us killing 3 million Russians and Ukrainians if you get a little queasy over one kid? They probably look at it like that, man. These people are fucked.
Yeah. And it's hard for us to process because we still have
because we're normal humans.
Because we have our toe, we still have at least one toe left in humanity. Is the way Susan put it to me the other day. Yeah, Susan.
It's good that we can't understand it. It's good that you go, what the, you can kind of you can understand when you find out it's the CEO is embezzling funds. You go, that sucks, but I mean, I'm a human. I see the greed. This is something where you go, I don't have, what the fuck? They're doing what?
So is Epstein going down the memory hole finally, or is anything going to really come out of this thing?
I think it's spiraling out of control. I don't think it's stopping.
We spent 2 hours yesterday talking about whether it was a controlled burn or a raging inferno that's beginning. And I'm not sure, but it's certainly, they got to put it away soon if they're going to put it away.
But if it's a raging inferno and all the evidence has been destroyed by the authorities, then how does it rage?
Well, there's actually, within the 3 million documents that already exist, they're piecing together stories that are turning out to be, it's sort of like, AI, one of its skills is to spot patterns that humans have trouble spotting. And so they're doing weird things, like they're taking names and they're putting the names from one email onto a redacted name of another email, showed that it's exactly the right length for it to be redacted.
Besides Bannon, are there any threads that are really incriminating known persons, political celebrities, etc.?
A friend of mine's in there.
I saw that yesterday.
Is he a celebrity?
He was former president of a Mag 7.
But no, really, besides that, you notice that guy because he's in your particular field of dots. But is there a more general sense that there are any threads that are really coming together about the political celebrities and political leaders who maybe to date have not been dragged into this thing, but who were somehow dirtied up by it? Because I don't see any of that.
But there's so many when you have an email that says, I really enjoyed the torture video, and then it's redacted. It means someone behind that.
There's got to be some way to compel the authorities to unredact that.
Provided that there's people willing to do it who aren't going to get killed.
I don't, that's what we talked about yesterday. It's the entire point of this blackmail is to make people do things that are not only against their interests, but obviously against their interests. It's the invisible gun to your head. Like, I can't do anything, guys. That includes unredacting this stuff.
Well, something clicked yesterday, by the way, that really caught my attention. And that is that Charlie Kirk could have been poisoned. They chose they chose to make it grisly in public.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So Charlie's death was really a display. It was really, don't fuck with us. And that gets you back. That gets you back to Israel pretty fast. Although it also gets you back to people who want Israel to look bad pretty fast. Yeah. And so you never know. You just never know. But I got asked, by the way, to moderate a zero hedge debate between pro and anti-Israel. And the pro-Israel is a guy named Max Abrams, and I said, first of all, I said, what do you think? I have a death wish? You really want me to moderate that debate? And then he said the pro-Israel guy was Max Abrams, who's one of these, if you find gluten in your bagel, you're an anti-Semite, right? He's one of the rabid, irrational anti. So I think actually October 7th not only ushered in brutality by Israel towards Gaza, but I think brutality of Israel towards anyone who questions them. I think they took it to a whole nother level in terms of no break on anything. And so I said, no, not me. So I pawned it off on Brett Weinstein.
Oh.
He'll be perfect. He's the perfect guy.
Yeah, he is. He is.
And way better than me. I would not be a good debate moderator. I've moderated him, but I don't think I was particularly good at it. So I'm dying. I'm going to watch it like a hawk if Brett's the moderator and Abrams, and I can't even remember the other guy's name. I didn't care who it was.
Hey, where do you guys think Pam Bondi fits into this thing? Because everybody's dumping on her. I haven't given up on her personally, but where do you guys think?
I think Pam Bondi is a placeholder and a convenient pinata until 2027.
If I can Yeah, not
Why
jump.
that? What happens in 2027?
After the midterms and Ron DeSantis is no longer governor of Florida and he
He
becomes AG.
becomes the AG. Does he aggressively go after uh, bad actors?
Hold on
Well,
just a second.
well, what I'll say is if it all depends on how the midterms go, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the midterms go well, then I think the whole "they're not doing enough" crowd is going to like be, I just think they're going to be destroyed. I think they're already being destroyed because their ringleader, Steve Bannon, has been, now linked directly to
Well, there are a
anti-civilizational
lot of
slash anti. I mean,
there are a
again,
lot
Bannon
of
is
there are
a
a lot of
ringleader here.
people. It's a big crowd. They're not doing enough crowd.
Yeah, I
I
know.
get a dozen letters a day from people who are complaining about that.
I know, and I get it all. I get it all the time too. There's plenty of people in my community that feel that way, and I'm like, political time is a lot faster than legal time, and I continue to fall back on that and just to understand that there's orders of operations here, and if when you have you have a variety of things that are happening. Pam Bondi was brought in because she's got a lot of contacts and clout within the Florida legal system, which is
Mm-hmm.
where the Obamagate grand juries are being impaneled, right? That's an important side note on this. I also note that when people are getting relentless pressure from the usual suspects, they're probably a lot better person than we think they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know a person in politics by who hates them, and everybody hates Pam Bondi. So maybe, just maybe, Bondi's job is just to be there and just take all the opprobrium. Same thing in some ways as Cash Patel. Like the
Mm-hmm.
DOJ is understaffed. The FBI is a mess. The DOJ is a mess, right? There's all this stuff. If for nothing else, if nothing gets worse while they're in charge of those organizations, then that's a win. It's not what everybody wants. It's not what everybody would be happy about, but it's better than, fucking Merrick Garland, right? It's better than having an actual honest to God traitor in there. And I don't think Bondi is a traitor. I don't think she's particularly effective, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with just, your job, go out there and just stymie them so that, whenever they throw out the dog and pony show, the idiots like Thomas Massey, just stonewall them. Don't let them beg the question. Don't let them ask the House, Judiciary, the House Committee equivalent of how long. So, Miss Bondi, how long have you been beating your wife?
You're right, yeah.
Which is all Massey did the other day. That's
Mm-hmm.
all he did. And she just like, fuck you. I'm not answering that question. Well, oh, fuck you. I'm not answering that question because I'm just not going to answer because it's a dumb question because the premise is, I'm implicated by even acknowledging the premise of the question. And once you're in that, in that environment, like we all know what congressional hearings are for. They're there to make the congressman look good. They're to distract everybody.
Watch me own them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna say, one thing we've always kind of talked about, which leads to people having aneurysms in the comments about, how we talk about shit, is in terms of, something's happening over here and we're not paying attention to what's happening over there.
Right.
Man, I would say getting Maduro, raiding Fulton County with Tulsi Gabbard present, raiding Maricopa, Tim Walz, hey, give us the voter rolls in Minneapolis, and then today Trump going, if they don't sign it, I'm going to executive order it. Those aren't like, oh, they're passing through funding for a new helicopter. They're talking about the choke point of control in this country,
Mm-hmm.
which is rigging elections.
That's right.
That's not a tiny little thing in the background.
Well, if
that's
you listen
a thermonuclear flash.
If you listen to this douchebags like Robert Barnes, of course it is. Like, what do you fuck off, dude? Like, seriously. I talk about I'm at the point now where I'm like, sorry, we're trying to save the fucking country over here, and you're like crashing out over dumb shit. Like really? Like, I mean, I get it. I mean, like anybody else, would we all like quote unquote justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein? Sure. But how much of that was just, are we finding out was just payola pussy?
What?
Like, do this thing for me and you'll get some 16-year-old payola pussy. That's what happened. That's like half of it.
Set up
And
The
a
same
then
thing
a
that
lot
Snoop
of it is
Dogg,
other
same thing Snoop Dogg was
a lot
doing
of I mean,
20 years ago.
are there other angles on it? Of course there are, but a lot of this is just, hey, how about some 16-year-old payola pussy?
Yeah.
payola.
40-year-old pussy's better.
You do this for me, and I'll give you, and and you get and your payola is you get to fuck the 16-year-old.
You know why 40-year-old pussy is better?
Experienced.
Grateful.
That whole bunch.
Just saying.
Oh,
We just got kicked off YouTube.
Yeah.
just got kicked off of YouTube.
Well, in the
Jim is
background
so
of the election
unassuming,
stuff,
and then he'll come in from the top rope and just smash the. That was awesome.
in the background of the election
Well
business,
done.
is the question of the
Business.
federal judges.
Yeah,
How is Donald Trump gonna take these
you just
federal
saw an
judges
example
off,
of that
off the
this
game board?
past week, where the DHS just went like they said we're ignoring the federal judge who said that.
Boasberg,
I don't know who did it, but somebody said like, "Hey, all these whoever fucking Haitians
you
get
have to.
emergency." Well, then the DHS came out after that and said, "No, we're just still getting rid of them
We're
through
ignoring it.
executive order or something."
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
the thing is, the judges can't enforce anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
Because they have to go
because
through the
Yeah,
Department
Andrew
of
Jackson.
Justice.
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There is
enforce
still this
it.
thing. There is still this thing called separation of powers.
Yeah.
We have it, and I know it pisses a lot of people off, but it's the way it works.
Yeah.
Like it or not, if you don't want to live, if you don't want to live under that system anymore, that's fine.
Still, they have to be disciplined in some way.
I agree. I agree.
Of course, one of the big hangups, I think, I'm not sure, is John Roberts, and to some degree, the Supreme Court justices have some sort of authority over various districts, the federal districts in the country. They're all
Yes.
assigned to one.
Mhm.
Like Sotomayor has been assigned to the New York district, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And Roberts is the guy who is assigned to the DC district.
Mhm.
And as we know, the DC district is totally out of control. You can't bring a prosecution there.
Mhm.
You've got characters like James Boasberg, who is out of control
Mhm.
and creating a lot of havoc in the country. And yet Roberts doesn't do a damn thing about it.
Because Roberts is completely compromised.
Yeah.
I heard some.
Epstein Island. Epstein Island.
Well, there you go.
Well,
He is rumored to have been there.
But you wonder why there's no
is that
pressure
he's
on
drinking?
him, why there isn't any pressure on him to basically do his job
Well, it's
from
interesting.
people who don't even like him.
Okay. Well, there's this one. He's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. I have heard some rumors recently that Roberts is actually considering resigning, stepping down.
No kidding.
I
Was it
heard
credible?
a rumor. I don't know. I've never heard that before. So I've heard some scuttlebutt in here and there. I don't know whether it's true.
Did the rumor include a reason why he might do that?
No, but I think timing wise, if Roberts, let's just play it out. Let's just think about it. If Roberts doesn't want to, allow the ruling on tariffs, for example, which is a big deal. It's another big deal.
Yeah.
So, by the way, it's going to happen, I think, next Friday. I can get another one. Walter Bloomberg was out this morning saying this SCOTUS is going to let this go is going to give us the decision on tariffs on next Friday. I'll believe it when I see it. I've been hearing that all year. But if he doesn't want to be the guy that actually allows that to go forward, and he needs to, I can see him, shuffling off to Buffalo. I can see him shuffling off and leaving the scene, and then leaving that, and then of course we wind up with probably Clarence Thomas as Chief Justice, and that would be. But in a sense, they're not immune to politics. The Supreme Court, we know this. So. Now just think at what point.
But Roberts seems to have he seems to have some sort of immunity, like he got through that whole Roe versus Wade thing with, and for the last 10 years or for many years, he got away with the fact that his baggage handler or his gopher Sheldon Snook was married to Mary McCord, one of the biggest Russiagate coosters in the whole gang.
hmm I don't know. I mean, again, at some point, assets like John Roberts, if he's an asset of the oligarchy or Davos or whatever you want to call him, into the high table, if he's their asset, at some point he loses his. At some point, either conditions are such that he can get out from underneath whatever blackmail they have on him, and then he can, redeem himself on the way out the door, or he becomes a rapidly depreciating asset that they have to hold on to, control over for as long as possible, and then at some point it's all just going to break on him, and whatever. Again, it's to Dave's point about he eats his beef jerky.
Because this redounds to something I said before, which is, it's hard to believe that if there were some people out there who really needed to be exposed, that there would be some enterprising enemies who would find something in Epstein to get rid of him. And Roberts would seem to be one of them. He's been one of the biggest pain in the asses to Trump for 10 years. And you think that somebody in Trump's circle, especially considering they control the FBI and they control all the evidence, would find some reason to, persuade him to leave.
It's possible. The other possibility is that there's intense negotiations going on behind the scenes as to what you give me this one and you can have that one. I'm just vamping here. I don't have any answers or I'm just saying, think through the situation and treat all these people like people, right? They have their reputations to uphold. They have their baggage. They have their secrets. They have this. They have the skeletons in their closet. They got everything. And at some point, you got to ask yourself the question, of course, okay, what do I need to do to get you across the line to do the right thing for the country, or to do the right thing here? How do I get you out of this, or what? How do I get you to do what needs to be done? I'm laying that framework out so that people can think about what it would
where
take.
they are instead of pure.
It looks like Judge Boasberg is actually daring Trump to take him down, and as far as I can tell, he would seem to have some criminal liability for all that FISA fuckery that went on in 2017.
Yeah, I know. Boasberg is clearly been the guy sent out there, like Tim Waltz, with the very definition of chutzpah. I didn't know that Waltz was a Jewish name. That he had this much chutzpah to then turn around and say that the federal government should rebuild Minneapolis for what happened.
Waltz isn't Jewish, is he?
No, he's not. But I'm saying that's like, I talk about the very definition of chutzpah. Then turn around, that's what I mean. Oh, really? We're going to be that guy? Come on, dude. Seriously? They're clearly, the whole Minneapolis operation was a big dare. Hey, Trump, come in here, use the military, turn yourself into the tyrant that we've accused you of. And of course, Trump didn't take the bait.
They're really stupid, aren't they?
It looks more and more desperate.
Yeah.
Right. And when I see people acting this desperate and this obvious and ham-fisted, that to me is a tell that they don't really have a whole lot of cards to play.
Yeah. So, and their heroes are all mentally ill.
Well, and then let's look at the desperation of 2020, the most obvious steal ever.
Right.
If they're willing to do that, they were willing to do it in 2024. For some reason, they were not able to. I think somewhere behind the scenes, those abilities were, if not cut, they were radically reduced. To see them going out further and further and further now, like you're saying, Tom, it's dangerous because it's the cornered animal, but it's also, you got him in a corner now, and it's not running around the house. And it doesn't mean it's going to be pretty, but it is, like you said earlier, the 85-15 thing. It's now you have them coming out and being like, listen, black people are way too stupid to get an ID. It's like, hey, man, you're not. It's a bold position to say. Like, they don't have a lot left, man.
Did you see the Act Blue thing? I put it on my Twitter feed the other day that the Trump administration is trying to disenfranchise 69 million women who, won't be able to get an ID because of they're married, their maiden name. Like, really? So, ladies, that's how dumb they think you are. That's how helpless they think you are. That's truly what the patriarchy thinks of you. Mm-hmm. And you're carrying water for them, ladies. Why don't you just go get your fucking ID?
That actually made me more of a Trump fan. I was like, no, I'm fine. Yeah, with that, wasn't it the 50s? Can I speak to the man of the house?
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
People who wonder why I'm walking around. My wife is sick, and I'm literally making her chicken soup. But
What a guy.
I wrote in 16 when Trump won. One of the things that really jumped out at me is the evidence that was really a flicker, but I think it's turned out to be big, is that the Black community has moved to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they finally listened to Malcolm X and basically said, you know, what have you guys done for me? And why do you think I'm so stupid? And I think and also voting for Trump we're sticking it up the man's ass, right?
Yeah.
Voting for Trump was a big fuck you to the establishment. So they're not going to get them back. I don't think.
No, I don't. Not if they keep acting like this. Like, you know, so what we're, you know, the way I've been looking at it for the last few months, and certainly since about November, right, that they've really, City of London, whatever, Davos high table, they've been throwing literally every potential psyop at us and demoralization tactic that they can throw at us. They've thrown them all at us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some of them stick, some of them have gotten traction, some of them have moved forward a little bit, but for the most part, they've mostly fizzled. And at some point, once you reach the crescendo and you can't put any more pressure on, it starts to fall apart.
Yeah, you have to be able to continually escalate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of poetic, you know. Everything you're talking about, it's the same way they're financed. It's like they don't actually they're not smelting ore and making beams. It's all this kind of fuckery on the surface. It's a reflection. It's not the actual thing. It kind of seems like that's how their threats are too.
Mm-hmm.
They can't roll over with 100,000 tanks.
It's very much Socrates' cave.
Yeah.
Keep focusing on the shadow play in front of you and don't look behind you.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I mean it's very much like that, and and when you find out that all of their funding came from stolen tax money
from us,
it's Plato's cave.
No, it's Socrates' lesson. It's Plato talked about it.
Allegory.
It's Socrates. Yeah. It's Plato talked about Socrates' lesson. It's Socrates'
But I think they call it Plato's cave.
They do call it Plato's cave, but I happen to have a partner who's like an Aristotelian, so it's like that's good.
I happen to have a colleague who's written half a dozen books in the history of antiquity. He calls it Plato's cave. So I'm going with him.
Well, I knew Socrates, and you're no Socrates.
Well, I'm thinking of doing the whole Socrates thing and taking that hemlock.
I'm starting to think Dave is in fucking. Dave showed us his house beforehand. You're walking around. I'm starting to think Dave's on the Epstein list. He's got a nice fucking crib.
Yeah, I'm eating the babies. I'll tell you.
Dave's walking around with goat heads in the
eating
background.
the pets, eating the babies.
You know, there's some eating the babies. Yeah, I mean, and then I don't know, and it could be maybe I'm just consuming slop, but is it that election map from 2024 of the states that went blue overlap perfectly, like however many, like 9 out of 9 or 10 out with states that don't require voter ID?
Yeah, that's absolutely
sure.
I mean, it might be a fucking like eviscerating bloodbath in the midterms if Trump actually gets the voting requirements. It might be insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might blow. It might door.
Between cleaning up the voter rolls and ID, they're not going to have and no illegal aliens voting. They're going to be in trouble.
And that's going to accelerate.
And by the way, that's one of the reasons that Mark Elias is on. He's on the web shooting his mouth off all the time now.
Yeah.
And he's doing that. And he's acting hysterical.
Yeah, that's a good sign. That's a very good sign. We'll have a Takeishi like scenario like in Japan, like 2/3. Where they know what they're staring at. They're staring at what just happened to Japan.
Well, and then think about all the aspects of what's it called, consensus reality and groupthink. Then you have all the people who never thought for themselves. Like I used this example yesterday, I think with Dave. Like in my own podcast, I've seen people that went from just blood curdling "fuck you anti-vaxxer" when I was interviewing Malone and McCullough, to years later where they kind of got quiet, to where they came all the way back to the other end. They're like, yeah, no, it was bad. And it's not that they're good or bad or pro or anti-vax. They're just spineless, which itself isn't an admirable trait, but whatever. They're just going for consensus reality. Mm-hmm. If you have something like blow the doors off, like fucking 48 states go red or something, you have a lot of people that they were never diehard left or right. They just thought it was the flavor of the week. They're just like nationalism will just be the new woke. They'll be like, yeah, I've always been a nationalist. I think that's what's going to happen. And then it will. What happens after that? Once you have consensus reality, I think then it speeds up even more in whatever the fuck they're doing, the dismantling of this whole system. I mean,
and then the patent insanity is now being discovered. That people are realizing that they've been persuaded to believe things that are utterly insane, and slowly but surely they're coming out of that what a writer once called the consensus trance.
Yeah, no,
that was what they're kind of.
That was the guy. Yeah.
What's the art of war that give your enemy a golden bridge to retreat across? You're almost kind of giving a lot of the populace a way out and not having it, because we all have egos. No one wants to admit they're wrong, more than anyone. So instead of having a bunch of people have to be like, fuck, Trump was right, he's giving them a golden bridge. And what is that? I'm not for eating babies. They're like, yeah, me neither. And like, no one's gonna slam dunk on you. No one's gonna be like, you fucking libtard. They're gonna be like, that's fair. He's giving them a pass. Like, you don't have to admit you're wrong. You don't have to admit you think that Meg can get pregnant. You want the hall pass? What's the hall pass? Say I'm against eating babies. Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna get. Eating is a huge thing. That's not nothing.
And by the way, that was Eric Davis who coined the term consensus trance in his book Technosis.
I watch all of this, and when you guys are talking about this, I'm like, don't make a Philip K. Dick reference. Don't make a Philip K. Dick reference, because it's all Philip K. Dick consensus reality. Idios Koinos versus it's all that. It's the Matrix. It's Ubik. It's Man in the High Castle. It's all that stuff that he talked about ages ago. It's people being gaslit into believing something that's not true, living in a false reality, and then waking up into a state of enlightenment and going, oh no, it's that. And then you can get into Rene Girard and the mimetic collapse and all of that stuff. And
Alvin Toffler's Future Shock.
All downstream. Yeah, Toffler's is downstream of all that stuff as well.
By the way, I'm reading Jonathan Turley's book, Rage Against the Republic, and it's really good so far. He's so scholarly. He's really he really thinks deeply.
We have America's female problem, which I think America is beginning to understand now and to recognize. When you have all these, middle-aged white ladies in Minnesota screaming at the top of their lungs out in the street, there's definitely something that's gone wrong with feminism per se, and with a large proportion of the female population.
But it's vicarious nurturing. You don't have a baby.
You know who said this?
You have to care for the invader. They need help.
And there's also a thing about them and desperately wanting to interact with a man that will put boundaries on them.
They want that. They 1,000% want that.
I have a joke that I will not say.
We're talking about eating babies. Just tell them
No, not doing it.
If he's not going there after eating baby jokes, we got a problem.
Okay, so my big question for you then is: Did Renee Good have an orgasm right?
I was just about to. You motherfucker! I was about to go. I bet the joke is, did she have the best orgasm of her life as lead was going through her brain?
Yeah, I doubt it.
I mean,
so the guy who's done the best analysis.
You have birds of a feather, dude.
The guy who I think has done the best analysis of that turns out to be Adam Carolla.
Yes.
And Adam came out and he basically said, look, women sort of acquired the right to speak and to express their opinions and do this stuff. And he said, but they didn't realize is you still can't be an asshole. and they're not realized that. And they're realizing that, but no one wants that, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. What you are is not what we want. Right. And
Shrieking Harridans.
Right. I have a grad student who hits the dating sites. He never settles down. He's not a perv. I mean, he's not a horn dog. He just doesn't seem to want a steady girlfriend. And he says the dating sites are completely overpopulated with liberal women. And the reason is because the non-liberal women are getting grabbed up and married. Mm-hmm. And so it's this Darwinian selection for leaving liberal women behind. And and yes, you have the right to say anything you want, but people don't have to tolerate you.
Freedom of association is freedom from association.
Right.
But it's it's terrible that it's resulted in this tremendous disorder of relations between men and women.
Of course.
It's just awful. And
It
I'm
is.
not a young person anymore, but what I read is that it's just almost impossible to interact with the opposite sex now.
Well, Weinstein said that the other day, and he's such a evolutionary, biologically thinking guy that it really clicks. I mean, I think the guy's a genius, and he said that men and women just don't even get along anymore.
Yeah.
I think
It's a real tragedy.
it is, but it's also, I don't know if you saw that video going around of like the young college chick crying and she's holding the baby. And it's like she never wants, it's a bunch of sorority girls and they're all bawling. It's not even her baby, but she's just going like, I want to have 10 of these. And all the jokes are like, you can like factory reset women, just hand them a baby. And everyone's like, this isn't like, it's funny, but everyone's like, this is actually beautiful as well.
It is.
I think there is a factory reset though type thing. I mean, if you're talking about actually making a production economy, actually having a living wage, that's kind of the factory reset also for men. If men can provide,
Yes.
I think a lot of women, and it's not a bet, and I don't mean this in a demeaning way. I think a lot of women would be like, you can do the thing, you can have the baby, and you're not, two people got to work 18-hour days. If one guy can go, I think those are the factory resets. Dude, the inverse is like, dudes do want to provide. They just that's what they do. It feels good to go out and win the bread. I think that's what you have.
We evolved to do that.
That's what I mean, though. And if you can change the environment to go for it's like, well, how am I going to make money being an Uber? Well, what if a factory opens up? What if you can get a job? I think it takes so much energy to get away from the factory settings of biology, and they've done a good job over the last 100 years at doing so. I think it snaps back pretty quick.
It does.
And
like religion's coming back too.
Oh,
it's funny.
Quickly,
we joked in the house all the time. Whenever the simplest thing, my wife asks me for something, and I go over and I take care of it, like screw in the light bulb because she can't reach it, or this, that, or anything else. See, I just fulfilled my role as a man. I just fixed your problem here. She's like, thank you very much. I'm like, exactly. And it's become like a joke within our shorthand about the littlest things they get taken care of. And I'm like, I'll go to do that, and then I'm going to go back to making to providing for the family and do the thing, right? So I have another one that's standing. I have another woman who's right here looking at me, going, "It's time for you to feed me."
What a pretty dog!
Oh, she is. She's the best.
Hey, baby.
Well, what is she?
She is mostly Maremma with a little bit of Anatolian Shepherd in her. So
I was going to say there's a herding dog in there somewhere.
A guardian dog, yeah. No, she's a guardian dog. So she's my therapy dog.
Is that the only one you got there?
No, we have the two worthless rat terriers with us as well. So yeah.
To say, yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours, so we'll wrap it. But I was going to say, despite starting with eating babies, like in all seriousness, I actually do think it can be good. I mean, if you get jobs back, if you have dudes who can provide, and you can just go get a job, and women with kids, and it can actually be like the future can be bright. And if they can unfuck the elections this 2026, man, it's not only that all the Norman Rockwell shit. It's also like, yeah, man, they're gonna build a star base on on the moon in the next 10 years, and mass drivers, and like it can be exciting. It doesn't have to be this like black-pilling doom satanic spiral. Like this could very well be something that we look back on one day the same way we look back on other horrible periods in life, and we're like, fuck, thank God we got through that. Like that's what I really do think is like, I think it actually can be beautiful.
I think we'll be amazed at how crazy this period of history was.
I really do.
So when I had to read the 17 years of year in reviews because they're getting bound, I was stunned at how completely insane the 2020-ish period was. And the things that I wrote about. I use these like bulleted lists of, so-and-so did such and such to guess who, sort of bullet. And I was stunned by how crazy that period was. And somehow it's already kind of in the distant memory. I was on a Twitter Spaces, not by design with him, but Brendan Ike showed up on a Twitter Spaces that I was on. And he said something I still think is true. And that is, he says it's a multi-generational repair.
Yes.
So it's not going to be one of these things where by the midterm election, the super tanker will have changed direction.
But you do have to put in the foundational pieces, which are
there's no question.
Fair enough elections and fair enough and decent enough jobs. That's the
So
foundational
what we
piece.
will do is 20, 30 years from now, we'll look back and we will see this as a fork in the road. And the question is, where did it lead? And that's the $1 million question.
I think it takes 50 before it actually starts to become realistic. But you have to do it. You have to put in the cement foundation. And it's like
you have to start.
First. That's what I think.
You have to start.
Yep, I agree. Agreed.
Yeah,
completely.
No eating babies.
Nope. Let's start with not eating babies.
That's step one. No eating babies. Yeah.
Let's build some aluminum smelters and some oil refineries and some halfway decent cars and let's get started.
Hey, do you suppose that we can manufacture a cheap car that doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles on it that people can afford?
I hate our fucking cars. I hate the bells and whistles.
I know. I just watched it. So apparently Toyota is bringing the Hilux Champ over. Is coming, and the Hilux Champ, which they have over in Thailand, that $12,000 basic friggin'.
It's everything you just Jim. It's what you talked about. It's your white.
It's what you're talking about. It's the kit car. It's the kit. Small pickup truck. We're gonna bring it back. It's coming. When they come over with a 2-liter. When they come over with a 1.6 liter diesel version of that car, I can't wait. That truck, I can't wait. Not that I have any desire to get rid of my current car, which I adore, but I would buy one just on general principle, just because I like buying cars. So, just to support the cause. Mm-hmm. Let's get us back to 2-seater beaters that that move shit around.
My Subaru, for example, turns itself off at the light.
I know. Yeah. It's so annoying.
It's going to fry my starter.
Yes.
In no time flat.
Yes, it's awful.
There are certain things I like. Cruise control, adjusting for the distance in the car in front of you is great. I really appreciate that. Then, but I don't need a hatch, a lift back that lifts itself but gets fucked up fast.
Yeah, we have a couple of older, mid. Well, I have a 2016 Frontier. My wife's got a 2015.
I do too.
Yeah, Armada. We talked about this before. Neither of those cars yell at us when we don't put on our seatbelts. and by the way, that will be the last car I buy for my wife. She will not buy a car that yells at her about this putting her seatbelt on.
Well, mine also tries to drive for me, so it tries to steer me back into the lane, and I go, dude, I want to cut that corner,
I'm trying to plow this into oncoming traffic. This is my moment.
I'm trying to die. I'm trying to die here.
I'm trying to fucking
All right. Well, we're getting there. It's coming. I think with Cap A being repealed, with the harm finding or whatever the hell that Obama put it on all the greenhouse gases, with that changes a lot of things, and that's coming and that's happening. It's done. And we're going to, and by 2027, 2028, we're going to have,
and don't forget
ours are going to drop.
The wet dream of nuclear proliferation, nuclear power plant proliferation is finally happening after 80 fucking years.
Yeah, small but also don't forget AI could go totally in any direction.
It could, but I mean the if it could, it will always be there. It's like it's
what do we want? What do we choose?
No, I really, and
we have agency in all this. We do.
Yeah, and you're going to have. Yes,
we do.
You can start with not eating babies. It's pretty simple. That is step one.
Dave, pass the baby, will you? And the mashed potatoes.
This is where, at the end of the day,
6 to 8 ounces, all I need.
I will always tell you, no, we have all the power, and what they do all day long is tell us that you don't have any power. I'm like, fuck you, we do. Fuck you, don't.
If the situation was hopeless, the propaganda wouldn't be necessary. My favorite meme ever. They wouldn't be saying
I like to hear that.
Yeah.
I like, you are here paying taxes to pedophiles.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
No eating babies.
The picture of the galaxy, right? With the big arrow
you are here paying. Yeah, it's been updated. You're paying taxes to satanic pedophile cannibals. You're like, motherfucker.
The baby eaters.
But on that point, I mean, you got to imagine like that's got to be rock bottom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're satanic pedophile cannibals.
Right. And you're paying
Okay.
taxes to them. Let's stop
Okay.
paying taxes to them. How about we
I
do
think we're
that?
all agreeing that we're at like, okay, let's go up. Yeah.
Kamina
So,
agrees.
yeah. All
There
righty.
could be the added zombie before we get there, though.
Dave, don't put that out there.
I got to go cut some kindling
Yeah.
before the sun goes down.
Jim's always
You
got
guys,
eusephemisms for I don't know what.
No, I got to cut kindling
Choking
for
the
real.
chicken,
We just
choking
did a
the
whole show
goats.
about
I
how
don't need
bad
to
it is to
choke the
have code
chicken.
words. Don't.
Dave's got beef jerky to eat.
You got a baby to boil, don't you, Tom?
That's right, I do. Absolutely.
Or do you oven braise them?
Depends on what the dog wants that night. So yeah. So all right. You guys be well. You take care. Have a great weekend.
Peace
All right,
out.
everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Three quick organizations that I try to help through the podcast. I don't take any money from, and I wouldn't if they offered. First and foremost is ARC, the Association for the Recovery of Children. That's led by Basil Baz. It's been around since 1993. They physically liberate sex trafficked children. They get about 10 to 12 kids a year. I've got a fundraiser thrown for them before. You can go to the link in the description. You can donate, I think, as little as $1. It's tax deductible. They are truly doing the Lord's work. This isn't an awareness campaign. This isn't wristbands. They physically go in, kick down doors, and liberate children who are raped daily. They're doing the Lord's work. If you can go help them, you can go give $1. You can also take their training programs and do your best to help spot human trafficking in the world around you. It really is, if there's anything that this podcast accomplishes on this earth, I think it should be to help them. The second group is Invest, like a vest, a bulletproof vest, led by Mike Letts. 25% of police precincts in the United States cannot afford to give their, and this is true, cannot afford to give their officers cars, weapons, nor vests. They cannot do that. And you can donate as little as $1. They have donated over, I believe, 70,000 bulletproof vests in 30 years. Actually, Invest and ARC were both founded in 1983. Fun fact. And Invest is also doing something that is dovetailing actually with ARC. I put them in touch. BAR, Broken Arrow Ranch, which is to make sure that the kids who are rescued don't fall right back into the traffic system. So ARC, you can go in there and you can help them, and Invest, you can also go in there and help them. And lastly is the Church of the Barbarian Spirit. That's my buddy Clay Martin, Special Forces. It is a group to where Special Forces veterans are helping other Special Forces veterans in unconventional ways, be it fasting, be it psychedelics, be it just face-to-face talking, to reduce suicide rates. And as you guys know, suicide is very near and dear to me. So those are three groups that I really think are actively trying to make the world a better place instead of just talking about it. If you guys could just go check them out, go share their links, go do whatever you can. If you can donate, go donate. If not, that's cool too. But, long after I'm dead, and long after you guys are gone, I want the lasting impact of this podcast to be something that's genuinely helped the world. So if you guys can go check those out, that would be insanely appreciated. Thank you so much. Hey guys, a huge sponsor of the show is Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food. Clayton lives down in Georgia. He's been on the show before. It's actually nearby where I went to college. They are a huge sponsor of the show. They give me some money every month, even when I don't sell enough to warrant that paycheck. Meaning that the show is not free. It's just that it's free for you. If you guys need prepper food, or if you're just interested in supporting the show, I'd please ask you to go to the link in the description. Go to Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food, promo code TPC for 10% off. 72 servings per pail, 25-year shelf life. These things are, they double as dumbbells. Pasta Primavera, cheesy potato soup, mac and cheese, loaded baked potato casserole, chili mac, cheddar broccoli soup, cheesy lasagna, teriyaki rice. You can get banana chips. There's also raspberries, strawberries, and apples. There's a bunch of freeze-dried fruit, or you can even get seeds to plant your own garden. It's not a bad thing to have. It's like gold or ammunition. It's a good thing to have. It's a bad thing if you have to use it, but it's good. It's good to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. So that's what I'd say. And if you just want to support the show, please go to the link in the description. Please go support them because they support me. Thank you so much, guys.